Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope everybody's doing really well and getting ready for Christmas. It's December 4th here, and yeah, things are happening fast. So I'm going back to, this is going to be a continuation of the inks. We've been talking about, so I've done two videos, one on what ink when, which helps you learn the different properties about inking, different kinds of stamping inks, things like that are available. Yeah, which one to use when, what are the properties, why do you use it at that time? And then there's a second video on dye-based ink versus pigment-based ink. Which one, again, do you use when? So in that video, we talked about distress inks. So, and there are two different kinds. There's distress ink, and then there's distress oxide ink, and how those two properties differ as well. So we've talked about dye-based and pigment-based. These are an amalgamation. These are created by Tim Holtz from Ranger, and these are these have a slightly different makeup than your average dye-based or pigment-based ink, and it's because they're kind of a hybrid between the two. So these would be considered one of the hybrid inks that are now available. Okay, and have been available for a while. But distress ink is a dye-based ink that has a slight pigment to it, not a lot, just a slight pigment base. So it's got a slightly different quality in it that allows it to react to water, which is where you get this beautiful spotting um, uh, effect is when you add water to it and it will bleach out. Okay. Distress based inks a are an ink that is mixed with pigment. So this is kind of a dye and pigment based together in this one. Okay. So what it does is it sits on top of your ink, again, on top of your paper, but also still gives you that beautiful bleaching splatter kind of technique. But you can see the difference on this piece of paper. These are the exact same colors. I'm going to do this again for you, but you can see the difference. This one looks like it's a little bit more intense. Sorry, I'll bring that closer to the camera for you. A little bit more intense, but it also looks like you can see into it, right? It has some depth to it. This one is the pigment, the oxide ink, and it has kind of a chalky finish, but it's still quite bright, but it has that almost looks like a pastel quality to it, almost like it has chalk in it. It doesn't, but that's kind of what it ends up looking like. All right. So today I'm going to ink blend to show you the differences between the two. Both blend really beautifully. If you're really working on your blending though, like distress oxides, oh my goodness, blend like butter, so nice and smooth and go on so richly, so evenly and quickly. When the trick to when you're trying to blend your inks, you really have to get a lot of ink on your paper and really saturate it in order to move the colors in between each other, much like when you're doing a watercolor. You need to have a lot of water in order to get your ink to move. So you have to do the same thing. You have to have a lot of ink on your paper in order to get it to blend between the two. Okay, so that's what I'm going to start with. These are just a couple of examples of the colors that I picked up off of my work surface when I was done. Like I didn't want to waste the ink that was there. So this is a couple of backgrounds. So this is just the colors that were down, sprayed them with water, and then kind of schmutzed them just on, I think this is 80 pound, it's pretty thin. So 80-pound cardstock. This is, you can see here, look at how chalky it is sitting on top there. So this is the oxide. Is it the oxide? I lied. Sorry. No, that is the pigment based. It's a little deeper and richer. This is the oxide, a little bit more faint, sitting on top of the paper. But what's really cool is that I use some black cardstock to sop it up. And look at how that sits on top of the black cardstock. Can't do that with a dye-based ink. Only pigment-based inks will sit on top of your cardstock and allow you to get an effect like this. If I wanted to, I could now stamp on top of this and have it, like I could stamp with black and have it show up on top of this. That'd be pretty cool. Anyway, let's get on to it here. So the first one that I'm going to do is I'm going to use the four colors that I'm using. I'm going to be comparing apples to apples. So I will be using the exact same distress inks and distress oxides. I picked four colors that I have in both mediums, okay? So I'm going to be using Salvage Patina, Peacock Feathers, Uncharted Mariner, and Wilted Violet. Okay, so those are the colors that I'm going to use. I just have simple, so this is actually a card that I stamped and kind of floofed. So I'm going to use the back of it because there's no point in wasting good cardstock, right? Okay, so we're going to start here with the Salvage Patina, and I'm going to come in with my blending brush. If you want a heavier saturation of this, you can go ahead and use your, let me see if I can, there they are, your distress ink tools with the foam blenders, things like that. The foam is designed to pick up a lot more color and deposit it onto your paper. It helps it saturate it much more quickly. But I like to use the blenders just because I get a softer look with them because I'm not great at blending. It's a new skill. It's one that I'm consistently having to practice. And yeah, so that's where I'm at. And that's, you know, that's just kind of where I'm at. And that's what I need to do. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm just coming in. I'm starting off of my paper, bringing in, inking up my brush as much as I can, bringing it in. Go back and re-ink, re-ink, re-ink. I'm hoping that the camera isn't jumping too much. Doesn't look like it is, so that's good. Okay. I might actually have to get a re-inker for this pad. I don't know. Okay. Oh, not good. But you can still see, right? So I'm going to bring that and tilt that towards the camera so you can still see. So this is the distress ink. So it is going into the paper. It is saturating, but it's not fully saturated. There's still a lot of white spots there. I could, if I wanted to, go directly, take my ink pad and go directly to paper, but that kind of defeats the purpose. So I'm just going to keep getting the workout here. Okay, oops. All right, that's the Salvage Patina. I'm just going to put my lid back on there. Now I'm going to go into the Peacock Feathers. Yeah, this one feels a little bit more juicy. So I'm going to come in from the side. Yeah, this one's got more ink in it. Loading up my brush, and coming in from the side so I don't get too harsh for line. Now, Salvage Patina and Peacock Feathers are similar colors, particularly in the distress ink. When you get to the Oxide, you can tell there's quite a bit of difference in the colors. But, well, that's the difference that a well-inked or a ink pad that has more ink in it does. Okay, so you can see a slight transition here. Unfortunately, because these two colors are similar, I'm getting a nice transition from one to the other here. And I'm going to bring that up a little bit further so that it can blend into the darker blue as well. Guys, I'm a bit of workout, but I need to have a little bit of water there. Sorry. Should have did that before I started the video. All right. Okay, so I've got my lighter color down here, which if you can see here, I've got a pretty decent transition. It doesn't look like there's a lot of differentiating between the colors, but I will come back in with my Salvage Patina, bring that up a little bit back up into the Peacock Feathers. Okay. So now I'm going to close those two. I'm going to grab my darker blue brush. Okay. And again, I have separate brushes for my distress inks and my distress oxides, as well as my pigment inks and my dye-based inks. Okay, so for dye-based inks, I can use dye-based, whether I have Memento or Archival or My main one that I use is Elements, but any one of those I can use, no problem. Just use my dye base, dye base, dye base. The same thing with my pigment based brushes. What I don't want to do is mix them because they all have a different formulation. So if I only have one set of brushes, which is not the end of the world, as I stated before, I just choose to use my time in a different way. So I have brushes for all of those, because then I don't have to clean my brushes in between, because I choose, as I said, I choose to use my time in a different way. And in some days, I'm too lazy to clean my brushes in between. So if you can, crafting companies have a lot of really great ones. Essentially, they're just makeup brushes. So you can find them on Amazon, Ali, Temu, wherever you like to shop. Dollar store. Some of the ones that I got are from Dollar Tree, actually. The very first set that I got that's where it was from. So you can spend the craft supply expense if you want, or you can find them in other areas too. It just depends on what your particular budget is and what you like to use. Okay. I'm pretty happy with that blend. So, sorry, this color that I'm adding in here is the Uncharted Mariner. So, and you can see that it's transitioning quite nicely from the lighter blue, mid blue into the darker blue here. Okay. And I can bring that down a little bit, have that come up into there, and then I'll bring in whatever ink I've still got, add a little bit more onto my light blue. There we go. It's a pretty nice blend, actually. Okay, quite happy with that. Okay, so I'm going to stack these out of the way because I won't need these two now, but I am going to keep the Uncharted Mariner close here. Put that brush away. And I'm going to bring in my Wilted Violet, the purple brush. I'm going to turn this around because I'm right-handed, so it's nice to be able to hold on to it from the other side here. And I'm gonna, so that I'm not getting ink on my fingers or bleeding where my oils from my fingers moving into the, and lifting the ink. So I'm gonna use my magnets here to hold on to my paper. And I'm just gonna bring that in from the side. Like so. So with the blender brushes, you have to remember you do need to add more ink. You need to continue going back and forth. What it does allow you to do, though, is control how much ink you're putting down. You can always add more. It's very difficult to take it away. So you can always add more, but it's very difficult to take it away. Okay. All right. So let's come in here and pop that kind of tealy navy color in the center there. I think I'm pretty happy with that blend. A little bit more purple coming down. Okay. So I want to make sure that I'm moving my brushes over so that I don't pick them up when I go to start using the oxides. And I'm going to put those colors to the side here. And just going to give you a looky-see. Now these will dry out a little bit, not dry out, but dry back a little bit. This is what it looked like originally. So it will smooth as it absorbs into the paper and kind of softens out a little bit. But this is what it started with, and this has been drying for a while. Like it was about a month ago I did these, so it's been a minute. But that's what it'll end up looking like. So I'm going to wipe up this. Now, normally what you could do if you wanted is you could give it a spritz and do your dabbing. I'll give it a spritz and do my dabbing just to show you that you can. Okay. Just with some water. You may take your cardstock, background, whatever you're trying to make, and pick up the color. And add it in, smush it down, pick up some color. Add it down, and smush it around. Pick up some color. So it's just faintly adding a little bit more color to the cardstock that I had already had. All right. Not a lot that was off the edges. I did a pretty decent job of keeping it all in one place. So Now I have another image that I stamped that I wasn't going to use, and then I managed to, I don't know what the heck I got on here, but I managed to get something on there, some schmutz of some sort. So instead of wasting the cardstock, I am going to use my Distress Oxides on it, because the Distress Oxides, as I told you, they sit on top of the paper. So whatever's sitting on here, this little dirt or dust smudge, is not going to matter, because that's going to be covered basically by my inking. Yay. Okay. So I'm going to start again, same way. So again, look at the difference between the two pads. So this is the Distressed Oxide, and this is the ink. So you can see even the chalky kind of finish, pastel finish of the Oxides compared to the Distress ink, right? Okay. All right, I'm gonna ink up. Okay, coming in from the edge. And you can tell immediately like the different saturation level compared to from the Oxides to the inks. There's a reason why people who love to do color blending love to use the Oxides. And this is why, because it just goes on and the coating is absolutely incredible. Like, look at that. That was 2 passes. And you can even see how much ink you can see the shine on it because it's still sticking on top there. Like it's still drying. So there's still that much ink. And picking up off of there, bring that in. Okay, so the next color is going to be the Peacock Feathers. So I'm just going to give that a bit of a wipe, but I am going from oxide to oxide. So I can use the same brush without having to clean it. I just gave it a little wipe to remove a little bit of the color, but I'm not cleaning the brush. It's the same formulation. So I can use this brush in the same formulation ink. Okay, so this one's going to be the Peacock Feathers. And I'm going to come in from the side. And look at that. That one pass, that one inking up of my brush went all the way across. Isn't that amazing? That's just so cool. So I am going to ink it up a little bit because I want to come a little higher so that I can bring this color up for when I go to the darker blue. I want this to be a little more than halfway up my page. Okay. I'm happy with that. I'm going to give it a bit of a wipe. And I'm going to go back to the Salvage Patina. And I'm going to come in from the side and I want to go up into my Peacock Feathers. There we go. So it's, see how you get that mixing of both colors there. Salvage Patina. Yeah, put that there. And Peacock Feathers. I'm just going to put that to the side here because I might need to use it as I blend between the darker color. So we have 2 colors here that are very similar. So I don't necessarily need to worry too much about the blend and how it's going that way. But this is going to be a much darker color bringing in. So let's see how that goes. Let's experiment. Put my brush on. And again, I'm bringing this up because I want to have that color so that I can transition also into the purple, right? So I want to make sure that I've got some, so I'm going to want to have the clean color purple. So I'm going to want to have some white, but I'm going to want to bring that purple down into the blue as well here. Okay, so I'm just going to mix these 2 a little bit, bring them up into each other. Like that. This is how, so if you watch somebody who does some beautiful, beautiful ink blendings using oxides and differing colors and things like that is Christina Werner. So that's Christina with a K, last name is Werner, Werner. She does beautiful watercoloring cards, but she also does really phenomenal distress oxide blending and just like colors that I don't see how that's going to go together, and yet it does. It's the most amazing thing. Okay, okay, that's gorgeous, eh? Love it. Love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Okay, so I'm going to put this to the side, but I am going to keep it out, and I'm going to, as I said, I'm going to put my magnets down here so that they can hold my paper so I don't get fingerprints in it. If you don't have magnets, another good thing you can use is like put some tape or something on your ends of your fingers to hold it down, or use a piece of paper or a Post-it, anything like that. And come in from the side. Picking that up a little bit and coming down. Okay, so I'm now bringing my purple down into my blue, which is giving me that third color between the two, right? This is why it's important to know your color blending wheel, unless you're an expert at this, which I am. By no means am I an expert at this. This is one of those skills that's fairly new, but I do like to practice it, and this is pretty fun way of doing it. So again, I'm going to come back and I'm going to bring in my Uncharted Mariner. Come in from the side and bring that blue back up into my purple, keeping the edge of the purple clean and not adding any more ink into my purple brush. I'm just gonna again bring that down into the Uncharted Mariner color, the darker blue. Okay, just like that. I'm really happy with that blend. That's really lovely. And these ones I'm going to put aside over here. Look at that, is a beautiful smooth blend. Okay, let me clean this up. And I'm just gonna spritz it. So you can see immediately how it starts to bead and move colors. See if I can tilt my, look at that. So it's like playing with watercolors with alcohol, inks, things like that. Not playing with alcohol, playing with alcohol inks. Okay. I'll just pick that up. So I could have dabbed and smooshed if I wanted to, but we're going to move on with the video here. So now what I want to do is show you the reason why, part of the reason why so many people like these, and the difference, right? So here are our two panels using the exact same shades of the exact same product. Just one is the distress ink, one is the distress oxide. So you get these beautiful, this is what you would want to use if you don't want the color properties to change. If you're doing a watercolor technique, those will roughly stay the same. These ones might change as they bleed, or not bleed, as they bloom and oxidize, because that's what happens when you add water to it, is it oxidizes and it changes the color, it bleaches out. You do get a bleaching effect with this one as well, but by and large, your colors will stay pretty close to the same. Okay, but so I'm going to take the distress sprayer, okay, and if you hold it and you give it, this is again one of those products by Ranger, but any spray bottle will do. So I could hold it, and if I give it a half squeeze, I get some bigger drops. Okay. So, or if you don't have one of those, you can just spray it into your hand and kind of do a couple of big, ooh, those are big drops. Like that. And just kind of shake them on wherever you want them. You can also use shimmer sprays on these. Actually, this one I think did go with a little bit of shimmer because I do have some perfect pearls mixed in the bottom of there, but that's cool. All right. So I'm going to take my cloth. Now you can just let these dry naturally, but the longer you leave it on, Larry, the more of a bleaching effect you will get. Now, water there. Okay. So you can see here that this kind of just changes the tone. It does bleach it out a little bit, but they look like water spots, right? So kind of nice for a background. Now those will dry and they will bleach because these are still the big ones in particular are quite wet. But in the background, you can see all the finer sprays have bleached. Look at the difference here. These actually look white, like they have changed colors. So these are beautiful for like sky backgrounds, starry nights, like those kind of things, galaxies. These are beautiful for using those because these become your stars, your planets, things like that. So that's really wonderful to be using. So that is the main reason for using these particular ones. Also, one of the great things about these inks, he has phenomenal amount of colors. There's a really full line of paints, sprays, mica sprays, something else too. Oh yeah, there's a distress glaze, there's embossing powders, and then you have the re-inkers for all of these. Like there's a phenomenal amount of product that you can use all in these beautiful color lines. Oh, he's got watercolor pencils now too. And if you're getting like, let's say, citron, which is kind of a lemony greeny color is your favorite color, or this wilted violet is your favorite color, all of these tones, once you start to get to know them, you'll know how to mix them because you can play with colors and the color property or the hue behind the color will be the same. So although they're a different intensity between these two, it is still wilted violet, still uncharted mariner, still peacock feathers, still salvage patina. That won't change um, from the paints to the sprays to the whatever. Okay, that's going to be the same. So something else that you can do with these is, for example, blend over things. Okay, so you can use these in the same way that you would use your not distress inks, but the same way that you would use your dye-based inks, etc. So for this one, so I've got this beautiful stamp that I stamped out. So it's actually for a slim line, but I've got a little bit of extra room because I knew I was going to be color blending on it. And I've taken the snowflakes and I've added stickles, perfect pearls, and glossy accents on top of them. So I've made them resistant. And I'm going to use, so you see there's Let It Snow, Make It Stop, Winter Wishes, Stay Cozy, My Friend, you know, Snow Happy, Snowflake Kisses, Warm Hugs to You on a Wintry Day. So there's a bunch of words on here. So I don't want to use the oxides on here because it'll cover up the words. But what I can do is use my distress inks on here. Come in and color blend, just like that. And at this corner here. Feathers. So again, I'm just using the same colors that I used earlier. Salvage patina, peacock feathers. I'll be using wilted violet and the uncharted mariner. So I'm creating something that'll be like a snowstormy background kind of thing, right? That's my intent anyways. So and I've left the edge on here so that I can come in from the edge and not have like a harsh drop of color kind of thing. And then when I'm ready to do my card, all I have to do is trim this down. I can add a little bit of maybe silver along the edge or something like that. But basically, this is my card front all done. I don't have to do anything else to it. It's got the sentiment on it. It's got the beautiful picture on it. Everything's done. Love that in a card. Easy peasy. Easy peasy. Mm-hmm. color blend there, and some dark blue. Sorry, that's Uncharted Mariner. Doesn't help you if I say what's Uncharted. If I say dark blue, does it now? Okay, so Wilted Violet. Put in at the top here. There, so a little deeper in the purple. And there. Now I know you're looking at this and you're going, oh my God, Karina, that is one hot mess. It's okay. We're not done yet. Just a bit in here. And purple. Let me carry it on a bit. I love how this purple and blue kind of make this really beautiful, like navy color. When you mix the Uncharted Mariner and the Wilted Violet, it's this beautiful navy kind of color. So I want to just get that up here. Right. So I'm going to trim this down, show you what I actually, first of all, what I'm going to do is because I put the Stickles and the Nouveau drops on here, they resist the ink, right? So you can go in, buff it off, doesn't mark up my cloth or anything, and we'll give it a trim and show you that this is just gorgeous. This is going to be a beautiful card. I'm not going to have time to actually do a card for you today, but I'm going to show you another technique here too. Okay, one. And let's get that all the way to the edge there. Sides a little bit. That. That. And oh, I'm going to take a little bit more of that side then. Yeah, there we go. Okay. All right. Now, if I wanted to, I could keep these strips. So I could keep these strips and actually make like use them as a scraps card where you do strips and whatever things like that. Okay. So this is what we're left with. Now, you can't tell me that that isn't beautiful. That's gorgeous. That'll make an absolutely stunning slimline. But if we look at this, this is what it'll look like matted on a card front. How gorgeous is that? And it's all done. It doesn't need anything else. I can add some sequins or some sparkle if I want to, but it's done, right? Beautiful. So beautiful. Now, you said, but Kareem, you also have the oxides. What are you going to do with those? All right. Well, for example, I have a thing of foiling here. So stay tuned for one of my next videos. I'm going to do hot foiling if you have a machine, hot foiling machine. So this is an offcut, not an offcut, but this is what it looks like. This is the it's kind of like the embossed and the debossed. So this is the pattern. So I did a polka dot pattern, which I don't know why I don't have it out here for you right now. And this is what was left of the foil. So I have a plate that does that, but it doesn't always get the best foiling because sometimes I'm too impatient. But I don't want to waste this. This is the whole thing of that. So how can I camouflage that a little bit? Then you asked, let's have a looky here. So I'm not going to use the salvage patina, but I am going to use the other three colors. So peacock feathers, I'm going to bring in. And I'm just going to give a little bit of color in a few places here. Because every place where those white dots are is actually the white cardstock underneath. This. So because we have that white cardstock, it's going to take the ink. That big smudge in the center where it missed the ink. So the beautiful thing about doing this is that, you know, you can change up what may have been a boo-boo. I don't necessarily consider this a boo-boo because I'll still use this. There's no point in wasting all of that beautiful foil. But it gives you options when you have tools like the right kind of ink. And as I told you guys before, that this is where I spend, this is where I tend to spend my money. I don't tend to spend it on dyes and things like that. It's actually on, you know, good quality inks, good quality paper, things like that. Those are the things that will make the most significant difference to your card making, your paper crafting, whatever it is that you're doing. Get in under the wire here. I've only got a certain amount of time I can use for videos now. So, okay. All right, so I'm going to put that aside. I'm going to pull out my cloth. Those. Let's give this a wipe and see what we get, shall we? Okay. I think I'm going to hold on to one of those still. Okay. So again, in the same way that my that the distress inks are resistant on the previous, like on the where I had the dye, not the dye, the Nouveau drops and the stipples and whatever. This is also resistant. Okay, so I'm just going to buff that off. Okay, so now what I've got is I've got a little bit of color behind. What's that too? So was sure I'll get that on my project. Okay. So now what I've done is I've disguised the fact that I have some blank white areas there. So you can see where it got colored with blue, lifted a little bit here too, so I can go back in with my brush, color it in again. It's not the end of the world. It's just paper. It's just cardstock, right? So I can go in and lift that. So it camouflages that so that what I can do then is take this sentiment that I already foiled and I can add that on there. So it covers it, but it also helps it blend in a little bit so it doesn't look quite so stark. Right. So there we go. I hope you have enjoyed, I hope you've enjoyed our video today on the differences between distress inks and distress oxides and which one is which and which one to use, and the differences that you will have. So you can see here, this one is the lighter colored, so it looks more pastel. That's going to be the oxides. This deeper, richer toned one is going to be the